Sorry I'm late to the show. Anyways, what is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. There is no intro in this video, and today I am going to be rating and reviewing on the very first Friday the 13th film that was made in 1980s and originally made by Warner Brothers. Now, if I'm correct, which I don't think I am, Warner Brothers sold Friday the 13th to Paramount, so left Paramount to film the rest of the Friday the 13th films. And before we get into this video, there will be a spoiler warning. So to those people who have never seen Friday the 13th before, including the 1980s one, please click off the video right now. So, you guys pretty much would know the drill. I am going to be rating out of 1 to 5 stars, and then I will give my overall thoughts on it. But first, I am going to be telling you guys what had happened to it. Well, to those people who probably remember, well, to people who have watched Friday the 13th before, I will be telling you guys about it, and then we will just get onto the rating and review bit. So, let's begin. So you guys would know that at the start of Friday the 13th, in 1980s, you have the camp. And then some killer had killed 2 people to start with. And then, in 1980s, I believe, or I can't remember, well, but after that, I say years later, then we end up with a girl named Annie heading over to Crystal Lake. So the man in the truck takes her to Crystal Lake and drops her off. Well, like the road to Crystal Lake is what I meant to say. So as Annie is walking down to Crystal Lake, then the woman in the car picks her up and takes her all the way there. And then suddenly, as they were driving past Crystal Lake, Annie had realised, we better stop, but the driver didn't stop. Annie had jumped out and tried to run away from the killer, and then slit her throat out. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but actually, this is actually an 18 film. And then you have the rest of the counsellors, who are the teenagers. So all the counsellors get murdered first, and then the last survivor ends up seeing dead counsellors, and then the killer, who is Mrs. Voorhees, Jason Voorhees' mum, appears, and then she reveals that she is the killer. So the last counsellor runs away from her, well, tries to run away from her, and then Mrs. Voorhees imagines that his son is saying, "Kill her, Mommy. Don't let her get away." And so she tried to kill the last counsellor. And then as the last counsellor was still trying to run away, she was at the boat area. Well, you know what I mean. So like a seaside on the river. Then Mrs. Voorhees and the last counsellor was fighting, and then when the last counsellor had the chance, she got her machete and killed Mrs. Voorhees by chopping her head off. And then she had ended up then in the morning, the police came, took her to the hospital, and then the woman said, "Jason is still there." And yes, Jason was still there, but in the river, because Jason had finally realised that his mother had died. So, the next, Jason will have to kill those counsellors for revenge. So that is the story of Friday the 13th. But yeah, Friday the 13th is about a murderer, Jason Voorhees, who kills every counsellor in the film. But, however, there is a last counsellor that can beat Jason Voorhees somehow. So, my overall review on Friday the 13th Well, once again, I think it was a fantastic film to watch. And it was pretty much outstanding as well. And out of 1 to 5 stars, I am going to give it 5 stars. That was a film that I really enjoyed, and it was actually worth watching again, but in the cinemas, because last time I watched Friday the 13th was in the house watching it on TV with my dad. But this is the very first time that we have been to see a 1980s film in the cinema. So basically it is a rewind, whatever you call it. And in the cinema, there were loud noises, as cinemas have loud noises as well, which is absolutely fine because they're meant to be. Yeah, in the film as I was watching it, there were some jump scares that did make me jump. But I didn't really care if I get jump scared. But I don't think I've ever done this before when I was watching the Friday the 13th films with my dad. So yeah, guys, I think it is worth watching Friday the 13th. And part 1 to part 8 are the best ones. But with part 9 and Jason X, they are okay films. And also, Freddy vs. Jason is actually a great film to watch. But as for the reboot, which is the 2009 Friday the 13th, that is a okay film as well. But I do recommend you guys to watch Friday the 13th Part 1 to Part 8. And including Freddy vs. Jason. And some of the films are on Paramount Plus, but there are some missing. The only ones that we see on Paramount Plus are Friday the 13th Part 2, Part 4, Part 5, Part 6, Part 7, Part 8, and the 2009 Friday the 13th. So those films that are missing are the first one, the third, and Part 9 and 10. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for today's video, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. A like is always appreciated. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day and night to you all. Peace out. Underwater.